Hello everybody and welcome back to Path of Exile 2 and our update for my build guide for the Acolyte of Chayula Hollow Palm Monk. I have made some significant changes to the build that has made the gameplay feel a lot smoother and has more or less, I don't want to say it's removed that squishy feeling that I've had for a long time with this character, but for the most part, a lot of the fear has been taken away. Now you still want to maintain Storm Wave as much as you can, but as you can see here, I'm not really having to do too much. And if you want to get really crazy, you pop that Elemental Weakness. It spreads with Hex Bloom, and then everything just kind of melts away in front of you because of all of the extra damage that provides. And then the extra damage keeps your mana regen high because the more damage you do, the more you're leeching with passives that we'll talk about in a little bit. So the build itself and the passives and everything, the skill gems and everything are more or less the same as what you saw in the last update, but we've changed our gear out quite a bit and changed some of the passives a little bit just to kind of increase survivability a little bit. And we're still getting, pretty decent damage. 20,000 damage per second with our Storm Wave is pretty not bad. So I just want to come in here and show you kind of clearing out mobs. If you want to go really fast with it, you start off with your Hand of Chayula with the Elemental Weakness, spread it out, and everything just kind of melts away. So pretty fast clear speeds, assuming you keep the Elemental Weakness moving around. Roll out of the way. So yeah, that's that. I'm going to pause the video here for a second and go look for the boss so you guys can see how it bosses, and then I'll bring you right back. I did want to bring you back really quick because several times already during the little bit of this, I've been mobbed by a bunch of stuff here, and for the most part, I'm able to kind of handle it now. You still can't just stand there and let it happen. You have to dodge roll out of the way, but for the most part, you don't really get too much in the way of one-shots anymore, and even if you get a bunch of mobs that coming in all at once and trying to do something to you, for the most part, you're able to handle it. More than once, I have been surrounded by mobs and unable to dodge roll out of the way, and I was able to survive long enough to kill enough to get out of the way. So the survivability issues that I've had with this build have been more or less resolved-ish. I mean, you're only going to get so much out of evasion and deflection, but for the most part, I'm just standing here letting this happen. Before, I would not even dare just stand here and just lay down DPS like this. Before, you had to move. And then now I feel perfectly comfortable standing here and just doing this. So this feels a lot faster to me than when they have a lot of extra hit points. That just feels a lot faster to me. So yeah, I'm going to continue looking for the boss, and I'll bring you guys back in. All right, we found the boss over here. Oh, it's this one. I may die to this one.
You'll die.
I may die to this one. I always have a hard time with her. But as you can see, I mean, I'm more or less able to just stand here and do stuff. My regen keeps up with any kind of poisons and bleeding and things like that. I have a hard time putting the bell down because my character ends up moving around a lot, especially if we're able to pull. There's a little bit more AoE going on. A little bit more AoE. When the AoE stuff starts happening, I switch over to. I need to be able to move around, so I switch over to that. But you can see, I mean, this build is way more survivable and easy to use than anything that I've had previously. And I only have, a little over 2,000 hit points. So let's head back to the hideout really quick. We'll talk about the build and the changes and everything that we've had, so that we've changed since the last time we've done this. If you like it, I do have a Mobalytics build in the description. It's the first one I've ever done, so you're welcome. Sorry, I'm not a record and edit kind of person, so I always end up doing this stuff. I will put timestamps in here for this. All right, so the basic premise of the build is we're using Hand of Chayula to apply the Elemental Weakness debuff and Heightened Curse to make that stronger, and then Hex Bloom so that when we hit something, it curses it, and then when it dies, it spreads out like Contagion does. It spreads the debuff like Contagion does. So it works really great for clearing out packs of mobs. You just hop in there, dash towards them, you dash back, and when you dash back, you get that copy of yourself, you get the Lingering Illusion, If anything hits that, it grants you a power charge, and then you're able to do your charged staff. And the biggest reason we're doing the charged staff isn't so much for the extra damage that it provides, although that is kind of nice. It's for the shock, because I don't have anything else having shock on it. We didn't want to use up anything on our Storm Wave to increase our shock chance, and we don't want to use anything on our Tempest Flurry to increase our shock chance. Storm Wave by itself does have 100% more chance to shock, and then adding shock onto our charged staff basically gives us a 200% increased chance to shock just based off of those two skills together. So we're trying to keep charged staff up as much as we can. So the basic skill rotation is you hand up Chayula in to apply the curse, you dodge roll back to hopefully get a power charge. Once you get your power charge, you charge your staff, and then you're just charge staff and doing this at the same time. You're getting a 200% chance to shock in addition to the chance to shock that comes from just your basic lightning damage. That's just for regular clearing. You're just running around, applying your debuff, charging your staff, and then just storm waving everything for the most part. And until you come across something that's like a really strong rare or a boss, that's pretty much all you're doing. Yank in, dodge roll back, charge staff if you have the charges for it, and then just, storm wave them all together. And to get the maximum amount of damage out of that, you want to put your Storm Wave, you want to be far enough away so that your Storm Wave is breaking just in front of your enemy so that the forking out things do as much damage as possible. If you're too close and you're doing it like this, you're not going to get nearly as much damage as like way back here later. So that's what you really want to try to do. And then, so my recommendations before were that we were never using Tempest Flurry or Tempest Bell unless you were A, fighting a boss, and B, had that boss heavy stunned and they couldn't move, because we were so prone to dying that it didn't make sense to even bother with these. But now with the extra stuff that we have going on with our gear to help out with our defenses and a couple of passive tree changes that we made, I feel confident standing in one place for even just a little bit. You obviously have to watch out for like the big slam abilities and things like that. You can't just stand there for that. But for the most part, we're able to stand in one place, drop our bell, Tempest Flurry it, if you can get the good accuracy for it, and it lays down some pretty significant damage. And while the DPS here isn't anywhere close to the DPS there, according to the numbers, when you add the Tempest Bell in and the actual speed at which we're doing it, it's really, really fast, and it just feels like the bar goes down a lot faster than the thing. So that's the actual skills that you're going to be doing. I also have Into the Breach and Void Illusion. Into the Breach is really nice for survivability because you get all these flames that pop out. The red ones give you health, the blue ones give you mana, and the purple ones give you additional chaos damage, which is kind of nice. I might look into leaning into more chaos damage since we're getting that as part of our buff anyway. I'm not sure yet. I may end up switching our passives to something else just to help out with life. But life isn't that much of an issue. We also have Ghost Dance and Herald of Thunder. Herald of Thunder is obvious. We're just trying to get a bunch of extra damage for clearing. And then Ghost Dance is just to add a little bit more survivability so that when we get hit, it recharges our energy shield and gives us basically 2 or 3 times more energy shield than we actually have sitting here. So it's nice to have. We have Compressed Duration to make us gain charges faster, and Clarity for additional mana regen, which helps out with laying down the DPS. Lingering Illusion as Charge Perfusion, which gives us more charges. I do need to swap this out for Charge Perfusion 2, I think. I have to go look at the skill and see if that makes any sense. And Clarity 2 for additional mana regen, and then we have Shock to, so when we proc our Herald of Thunder, it shocks things and we get more chances to proc Herald of Thunder, and Deadly Herald to do more damage with our Deadly Herald. So that's the skill gem set. Let's take a look at the passive tree really quick. This passive tree right here is, I would say, mostly based, I don't know, I've changed it so significantly from Ron Array's build that I think I can confidently say that it's mine. This is my own setup now, because most of what's on here is not what he has, because he's going for a full energy shield build. So the first part of this tree up to about there, and here is his, and that is his, and I don't think he even has this anymore, but he originally did have that. And then going up here to get the lightning damage up here is his, because he did make a good point that all of this is a lot of extra lightning damage. So basically all of this, and this, and all of this, and this, and that. I think that's everything that he has on his build. Everything else is what I've added to make my evasion and deflection build more powerful. So the biggest things that you're looking for on the tree are the extra lightning damage up here, some energy shield, just so we have a little bit more. It's very hard to get enough life on your gear to offset even just the minimal energy shield gains I'm getting here. To get another 300 life on the gear that I already have is almost not feasible. So even just this little bit helps out quite a lot. So you're going for lightning damage, energy shield. You're going for more energy shield here, more energy shield, evasion and energy shield here, some attack damage here. You're grabbing evasion and energy shield, movement speed, and mana regen, which helps out with laying down the damage. You're going for hollow palm, which gives you all of that, more attack damage, and then I've grabbed as many of the deflection-based stuff as I can. All of this is deflection, and this is deflection. Lightning damage here. Evasion, because for deflection is well, evasion, because we're doing evasion and deflection. So the basic premise is that we're trying to stack up as much evasion as we can reasonably grab with the gear with the gear that we have available to us, to make it so that we get hit as little as possible, and then we're stacking as much deflection chance as we can, so that when we do get hit, the likelihood that it's a highly damaging hit is very small. So we have an almost 70% chance to deflect, depending on if that actually works. And then when we deflect 46% of the damage, because one of the passive nodes, this one here, adds 6% damage to deflected hits. Removes more damage from deflected hits. So that's what we're trying to get to right there. So that's the passive tree. There's nothing super special about it. There's nothing that requires any super crazy explanation. It's very, very straightforward. You can look through this yourself to kind of see what each of these things are doing, but it's mostly just stacking evasion and energy shield, stacking as much attack damage as we can, and stacking as much deflection and evasion as we can. So that's more or less what's going on with that. As far as our ascendancy goes, I still don't know the best way to deal with the whole volatility thing. Everybody was making a big deal about volatility before the season before the league came out. My issue with this is that it takes so long for the thing to explode and actually give you the bonus. And I don't know, I'm just not a big fan of up and down damage. I like to have consistent damage so I can just kind of feel when things are going to happen. So I have elected to go with the Waking Dream, which gives me the Into the Breach skill that we looked at, and Void Illusion, which, isn't really that great of an ability, but it does add a little bit more damage when things hit it. We don't want to use any of this because we need all the spirit for the auras that we're running. Leech. This might actually be something. This might actually be something to switch to, because I do have a fair bit of leech happening on our stuff here, and when we have that extra chaos damage, that might help. Some chaos resistance might be nice, but I don't really. Well, yeah, we would get 7 there. Huh. I'm going to experiment with this while you're watching, because I'm kind of curious to see how that ends up happening. Because I don't really need this. And I'm curious to see. So we got a free 14% of chaos resistance. So I think this is what we're going to stick with now. I don't really need the Void Illusion. It's not really contributing very much to our overall damage. Yeah, it's nice when it explodes, and it's cool to watch the little black hole thing, but I think that overall, some additional chaos resistance is better. You guys just watch me update my build in real time. Okay, so we have, this is, the Into the Breach is for survivability, gives us health, mana, and some chaos damage. And then we have the chaos resistance here for additional survivability, so that hopefully when we walk into patches of poison or things like that, it doesn't hurt so bad. And then lastly, we'll talk about the gear, which is the most important part of everything that has been changed, because this is where most of our survivability has come from. So the gear we have right here is only mildly updated from what we had before. We're mostly focused on as much evasion as we can cram onto our gear. And, you got to spread out your resistances and things like that. If you're low on spirit, grab some spirit from your chest piece so that you can run the 3rd Ghost Dance. You really do want to have Ghost Dance if you can get it, because it is helping quite a lot with the survivability with this character, given how little hit points we have, overall hit points we have. Biggest things that you want to be looking for on your gear is adding deflection. Every piece of gear I have grants deflection based off of my evasion rating. You want to try to get that number as high as you can, but obviously prices are going to affect how much you can do that and still get really good stuff on your other gear. Every single item you see here, I spent less than 5 chaos orbs for each item to get it. Five chaos orbs or less. So none of this is very expensive. You can buy this very cheaply to get all of the stuff that you're trying to get to. So just do what you can to get your resistances as high as you can get. Make sure you have enough spirit to run three auras. Stack deflection and evasion as much as you can, and then if you can get some energy shield, it's really nice to have because it just gives you a little bit more of a buffer. And the ghost dance recharges your energy shield, which makes that even more effective. So you really want to get the ghost dance if you can get it. So nothing super special about the gear. It's mostly that we're just trying to stack as much evasion and energy shield as you can, and that's more or less it. If you can find some stuff that gets you some pretty decent regen, I believe I got we got gain 36 life per enemy kill, which helps. I think I had some regen on one of these. I remember I had something that had like 20 some odd regen. Yeah, 30 life per second with this belt here. If you can stack some regen, that really helps with, like, if you're standing in a poison cloud or you get some bleed effect on you, this helps mitigate that bleed effect so that you're not just watching your health go, and then you die. So that's more or less what all of the gear is for. There's nothing special. There's no specifics. I'm not going to sit down and do research for uniques that are going to make things better. I'm sure those of you who are better at building than I am will be able to look at this and say, oh, I know a unique that'll work really well for this. But for me, I just wanted cheap gear that I could quickly and easily find. And now this build is way more fun, and now I'm able to get into the whole doing the melee punching stuff that I've been wanting to do with this build, because the whole point of the monk for me is to feel like a ninja, or to feel like a samurai, or not a samurai, to feel like a freaking martial artist. I want to be running in there like Jet Li and freaking Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee and all that stuff. So I'm having a lot more fun with this build. Now that he's reasonably survivable, I actually kind of like him almost as much or as much as my Warbringer now, as the Wooly's Warbringer that we've been using that spreads fire all over the place. So having a lot more fun. I'm having a lot more fun with, now I have all 3 builds that I have, my minion build, my Firebringer build, and now the monk build. I'm having fun with them. I'm having fun with all 3. I don't have any drawbacks at all now. So really nice, and yeah. I know I'm just going on and on because I'm actually excited for once for the game, and we're having fun. So thanks for watching. Hopefully that made sense. There is a link for the build down in the video description. Hit that like button, subscribe to help us reach 10,000 subscribers, join as a member for early access to videos, or just leave a tip with the thanks button. I also have PayPal and Patreon links for those of you who want to help out in a way that is outside of YouTube. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.